Good morning. That's a little loud, sorry. I was asked to give my testimony, and I kind of look at it as part of the whole journey because things happened that made it possible for me to be here. I was helping my grandmother look for a church. We went to cowboy churches, biker churches, you name it, we was there. And then my daughter decided to get married. And she was going to get married in a field, and it was going to be beautiful, and guess what? Then she worried about weather. And all of a sudden decides, we don't want tents and stuff. She wants to be married in a church. Well, I panic. We don't have a church. We weren't traditional, what I call traditional church folks growing up with my children at all. And so I set out on a search. And I went to, 6 or more churches in the Topeka area. And some didn't even want to talk to me. Some said, absolutely not, we won't let you be married here. There were lots of things going on. Or I didn't feel comfortable with it. I didn't like their outreach of what they stood for. So a friend of mine said he wanted to look at these windows one day, and I thought, you know what, I'll run by that church. And I walked in, and lo and behold, Pat Glidewell was sitting at the counter. And I've known Pat since I was very young. It was just luck and grace that she was there. And she showed me around and told me about the family that this church is. And I came in here and I sat down, and it was quiet and there was nobody here. And I knew. I was comforted. I had joy and peace inside me. I trusted Pat. And so I started coming. I sat in there quietly for a couple months to see what was going on, talked about some people about what you all stood for. And then I was invited to a dinner at Brad's house, our former pastor, with Brad and Reverend Sandra. And I was nervous wreck, because I thought, I don't fit in with these types of people. All of you all, peoples. And they asked me what I wanted in a church, what I was looking for. And I thought, well, I'm going to be culture shocked because I'm pretty straightforward sometimes. And I said, briefly, what I said, I'm looking for a place where everyone is welcome. Doesn't matter how much you make, where you live, what you wear, who your children or parents are. None of that stuff matters. That you're welcome because Jesus welcomes all. And this place was it. And then we started coming here, and I was so happy and joyful, but yet still nervous. I have the little trust thing going on with the whole religion thing, I call it. And not to offend anyone. Sandra's laughing at me. Well, I'm a little nervous about it. Well, then I get here, and there were the issues with Brad moving on, and that was a bump in the road. And then my children did get married here, and we had a couple bumps with that. And then we had a couple bumps with daycare with my grandsons. And I don't know what kept me here, because normally those things I would have said, I can't, I don't want to do this. But I stayed. And then the day came where I became a member and I became baptized, standing right over there. And if any of you have ever played sports, whether it's high school or college or whatever it might have been, that moment when you're standing on the court and you may be shooting or dribbling and you hear nothing. The crowd's going wild and it's crazy loud and all this stuff going on around you, and you hear nothing and see nothing. When I was being baptized, that's exactly what it felt like. All I seen and heard was the joy of God, and Brad and Sandra there, and the love that I felt. And then once I was baptized, I kind of came back and I felt all of you. And I realized at that point, I had a family. Of course, I have a beautiful family, my daughter and son and grandchildren and Tristan and my son-in-law. but I also had now a new family. I walked out of here when I was baptized. Everybody was giving hugs and congratulating me, and I knew I had a purpose here. It was like the Lord was upstairs moving little people around here and there to get me where I needed to be. And then things happened along the way. Melba, she came to me and asked me to help with doorstep. I spent 20 years with a very good friend of mine having long lunches, and all she talked about was when she retired, she was going to do doorstep, be there all the time volunteering. And unfortunately, she passed away just 2 years before retirement. And here Melba is asking me to help. And I thought, wow, that's Kathy. And then other things happened. Rosemary came to me and asked me to help. I never volunteered. I think I was maybe a bit nervous. But when I was asked, I'm glad to help. I want to help. I want to be a part of it. So the journey has been strange with ups and downs and all kinds of weird things, but this place has helped me. In my deepest, darkest moments, even a kind word or a program that we have here was here for me and for my family. And it's also gave me the gift of my grandsons. He sits out there with me on Sundays, and I think sometimes he doesn't hear. And then all of a sudden he'll sit up and he'll say, Grammy, I'm the one that said, we get people with cookies. He just realizes, and he's smart. And the gift is that he's receiving all of your love and kindness and the words from Pat and Sandra, and he doesn't even realize it yet, what a gift it is. So I am blessed to be here, and however I got here, I'm lucky, and I'm grateful, and the gratitude that I have for all of you is overwhelming. So thank you, and I'm happy to be here, and I'll help if you ask. Thanks.